Recently, I noticed that this Cordey brand was selling exceptionally well on places like Amazon, so I decided to buy one in order to put it to the test and see if it lived up to the hype or if people were just buying it because it was super inexpensive. There were actually quite a few surprises during the test too, so links in the description and let's get started. So Cordey has several different models, but I bought the most popular one, the R500 Plus. The first thing that I noticed when unboxing it is that it's nearly identical to the Eufy 11S. I mean, it clearly uses most of the exact same parts and even plays the same music that sounds like the Nationwide Insurance theme song when you start it up. There are some key differences between the two, like the placement of the button and some others which we'll talk about later, but for the most part they seem to be built using very similar parts and specs. That's not a bad thing though, since the Eufy 11S won the budget category in our Best Robot Vacuum competition that we did last year, and considering that the Cordey is even cheaper than the Eufy, it would be a great buy if the Cordey is at least as good as the Eufy. We started off with some power tests by testing its airflow and found that it had 10 CFM of airflow on low power and 15 CFM on high power, which is pretty good, more than the Amari A800 which we recently reviewed, which I would put in the same class as the R500 Plus, and quite a bit more than the best-selling Roomba 690. Interestingly, it did have the exact same airflow numbers as the Eufy 11S, which is more evidence for my theory that they are mostly the same robot. The Cordey was better than average for this price range at debris pickup on both hard floors and carpets, and on our high pile carpet it was not daunted by any size debris and had a very clean run on both low and high power. Again, better than average, especially for the price. On hard floors, it also had a very good showing on both low and high power. It did scatter a little bit of debris with its brushes, but not nearly as much as the lower end Roombas. It even picked up the heavy fine debris like sand by the end of its run, which is not always the case with budget robot vacuums, so in general it was very good with hard floors as well. Now I actually think the Cordey R500 Plus is better than the Eufy in a number of ways, and the first is with hair tangles. This is because the main difference I can actually see between the two is that the Cordey has a different style brush roll than the Eufy. So to test this, we weighed out 1 gram of 5-inch human hair and ran the robot vacuums for 3 minutes. Now almost every robot vacuum will get some hair caught in this extreme torture test, but the question is how much? The Eufy, which I remember being pretty bad at this test, got 91% of the hair caught in its brushes. This is compared to 54% of the hair caught in the brushes of the Cordey. So neither of them are the best, but the Cordey seems to be quite a bit better than the Eufy in this category. Another area that the Cordey slightly pulls away from the Eufy is with battery life. Now keep in mind they literally have the same battery, but I guess the Cordey's brush, or maybe the power output settings or something, allows them to claim 120 minutes of battery life on low power compared to the Eufy, which only claims 100 minutes on low power. On the carpet deep clean test, where we embed exactly 100 grams of sand into a medium pile carpet and weigh the bins, the Cordey got 74%, which is 2% higher than the Eufy score of 72%, but 2% is easily in the margin of error, so it's probably pretty even. One of my favorite tests is with navigation. Now the Cordey, like pretty much every robot vacuum in this price range, is a random navigation robot, meaning that it more or less randomly bounces around to clean your home. I tested it several times and found that on the 30-minute test in our big room, it had pretty good coverage. Not perfect, but not bad either. The small room 25-minute tests were not as good though. In fact, overall, I think I would say that its algorithm is below average even for its price. Don't get me wrong, it's as good as the Eufy 11S, and you probably wouldn't notice this anyway, as it would almost certainly get any missed spots on the next randomized run, but it was one area that I think improvement could be made. Despite the Cordey's Dustbin looking very similar, the Eufy's does open up a little bit differently, and apparently that's enough of a difference for the Eufy to claim an extra 100 milliliters of capacity over the Cordey. Either way though, I consider 500 to 600 milliliters to be a better than average dustbin, especially for this price range. The Cordey, like the Eufy, is controlled by an included remote control, which has scheduling features and various other cleaning modes. So to get right down to it, the Cordey R500 Plus is pretty much a copy of the Eufy 11S, but it's been slightly upgraded with a better brush roll and battery life. It has the same great pickup ability and bin size that made the Eufy 11S one of my favorite robot vacuums in this price range, but since the Cordey R500 Plus seems to offer all that at a cheaper price, I can't think of a single reason to get the Eufy 11S over the Cordey. Links in the description, and be sure to subscribe to Vacuum Wars if you want to keep up with all the latest robot vacuums, regular vacuums, and carpet cleaners. Thanks for watching.